What's worse than a complaint about harassment or discrimination? A retaliation claim that comes after you thought it was over. One that lands you in court and catches your leadership team totally off guard. Here's the reality. When retaliation is even perceived, juries lean hard into believing it. It's emotional, it's human, and it can unravel everything you've worked to build: your credibility, your team culture, and your budget. I'm Rhamy Alejeal, CEO of People Processes, and this is Don't HR Alone, the show where we tackle the hard truths behind people operations and help you lead like you're a grown-up. Today, we're digging into retaliation in the workspace, why it's so dangerous, so easy to overlook, and so important to prevent. You'll learn what retaliation really looks like, how to train your managers to avoid it, and 5 things you can do today to protect your people and your business from a PR disaster and a lawsuit. Let's get into it. Let me start with a number. 55.8% of all discrimination complaints filed with the EEOC include retaliation. More than half. That means retaliation is the single most common issue driving legal claims in the workplace. Not racism, not sexism, not ageism. It's what happens after people speak up. And here's the wild part. Retaliation doesn't have to be real. It just has to feel real to the employee. A demotion, a schedule change, fewer projects, any of it, if it follows a complaint, can be made into a claim, even if you had a valid reason. So if you're thinking that won't happen to us, we don't retaliate, hold that thought. Most companies facing this lawsuit thought the same thing. This episode is your wake-up call and your action plan. So let's get clear on definitions. What is retaliation? Retaliation means punishing an employee for engaging in legally protected activity. Common legally protected activity are things like reporting harassment or discrimination, filing a wage complaint, requesting a disability or religious accommodation, participating in an investigation, or reporting a work injury. And the punishment, it's a lot broader than most people think. Of course, firing, yes, but also demotion or cutting pay, giving fewer hours or crappy shifts, suddenly negative performance reviews, excluding the person from meetings or projects, even public shaming or cold shoulder behavior from leadership has led to successful retaliation claims. It doesn't have to be explicit. It doesn't have to come with a warning letter. If it feels retaliatory and there's a timeline that suggests the connections, congratulations, you've got a claim. You may not win, but it's more than enough to get your employer or get the employer in a lot of hot water. Worse still, some states like California don't cap damages for retaliation claims. It's not about, well, he should have gotten that raise, let's give him the raise, or he shouldn't have been fired, pay his salary for a year. They don't cap damages. If this ends up in front of a jury, they're not thinking like HR or like a tort claim where it's as simple as what was lost. They're thinking like people who've been burned, and they tend to award big. So, why is this happening? Most retaliation isn't malicious. It's emotional. If you're a manager and you're thinking, that employee went behind my back and now I can't trust them, you pull back. You stop giving them stretch projects. You get frustrated. You're a little shorter with them. They just don't know any better. Here's an example. An employee requests a disability accommodation. A week later, the manager cuts their hours to lighten their load. They think they're being kind. Their employee thinks they're being punished. Intent doesn't matter. The reality of an effect on the employee and their perception of it does. And if your managers aren't trained, they will stumble into retaliation without ever realizing it. Let's shift gears. You can protect your business and organization and your people with a few smart moves. Here are the 5 must-dos. 1, make a real anti-retaliation policy. It doesn't, not just a boilerplate paragraph hidden on page 64 of your handbook. It needs to be a real written policy that defines retaliation in plain English, gives clear, relatable examples. Yes, use real-world scenarios. Explains how to report concerns and promises confidentiality and zero tolerance. And then this is the key. Enforce it. Nothing destroys trust faster than ignoring a clear violation. 2, train your managers like your business depends on it, because it does. Every manager needs to know what retaliation looks like, even the sneaky stuff, how to pause and talk to HR before making any moves after a complaint, and how to communicate decisions without fueling suspicion. This isn't like a one-time webinar. This should be an ongoing, repeated training to make sure that this is top of mind, because again, it is your most common reason for suit. Remember, you can't prevent what people don't understand. This is an easy investment in your management staff. 3. Set a standard investigation process and stick to it. If an employee raises a concern, you need a structured path. You need to acknowledge the incident report, whatever brought it up. You need to launch a confidential, unbiased investigation. You need to interview everyone involved, document everything, and then make a conclusion and take appropriate action. No shortcuts, no backroom deals, no sweeping things under the rug. And yes, document the positives too. If the only thing an employee's file is a sudden write-up after a complaint, it looks retaliatory, even if it's accurate. 4. Create a speak-up culture. If your team doesn't feel safe reporting issues, retaliation will go unchecked. Make it clear that retaliation is not tolerated, period. Reports should be able to be anonymous. Figure out if there's a way that you can use a third-party system like ours or someone else's to allow for anonymous complaints. Make sure HR or whoever you're using for your investigations is empowered to act independently. Employees who speak up will be protected and supported. Encourage bystanders to report retaliation too. It's not just about the direct victim. A toxic culture spreads when people feel like they have to look the other way. 5. Hold leadership accountable. Here's where most companies fall short. It's on enforcement. They may write all this down, but they don't actually do the work. If a manager retaliates, there must be real consequences. Even if it's a great manager, a top performer, that means documented discipline, possible termination, required trainings, public reinforcement of your policy internally, of course, but letting everybody know what happened and that it's a problem, that this person's been, disciplined, punished, retrained, an apology. Make it public. If your employees see retaliation being punished, they'll believe your culture is real. If they see it swept under the rug, your policy means nothing. And if HR's hands are tied and the only person who can investigate a claim is, the person being accused, that's a leadership failure. It's not an HR one. You've got to figure out a plan for this. If you've listened this far, here's what I want you to do today, like now. 1, pull out your anti-retaliation policy, give it a good hard look. Is it clear, strong, and visible? Review a couple of recent adverse actions. When you've changed something to an employee that's an adverse take, like a termination or a demotion or a pay cut or a change in schedule that's less good, right? Look to see if those were close to any employee complaints. If so, did you do an HR review to make sure that they were well documented? Take a look. Just go take a look at the things you've punished employees with at some point. It doesn't mean they're all wrong. You need to look for proximity to a complaint. Schedule a manager training session. Even a 30-minute Zoom can make a huge difference. If you want a formalized training program, we can help with that. And it can go in. It can be an online, asynchronous. They log in, they do it. You can have a working group on it. There's a lot you can do there. Set a clear investigation process. That's number 4. Document it, share it, and be ready to execute on it. And finally, back up your HR team. Empower them to act, especially when retaliation is on the line. Try not to get bogged down and realize that the likelihood of an investigation leading to a negative outcome for the business that shouldn't happen is relatively low. You need to let them really dive in and be independent so that they can decide it. If you don't have a formalized HR department or an outsourced company like ours, that's fine. Anybody can do it. Just make them do a little bit of reading and then give them that true control so that they can do it without bias. Look, retaliation claims are preventable, but only if you act before things go sideways. If you're not sure where to start, I gotcha. I have an anti-retaliation checklist below to make sure you've covered the bases. When it comes to compliance, you shouldn't HR alone, so at least use that checklist. You can sign up, drop your email in, and I'll email it to you, along with access to our library, tons of different great resources for you. If you're a US-based business with 10 or more employees, let's chat. Book a free 30-minute consultation with me. I'll help you spot the risks, set the guardrails, protect your people without killing your culture. If you found this episode helpful, share it with a colleague, drop a comment, or leave us a review. I really appreciate it. I respond to every single comment below, and I hope that we're providing you value for free. I just want to do this so that we can be better employers at your nonprofits, at your for-profits, at your governments. I don't care. Work is a big part of what we do, and let's try to make it suck less. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Keep your business out of trouble and keep your people thriving. Thank you for listening. I'm Rhamy Alejeal, and it's time for you to go out there, get your work done, and have a great day. I'll see you next time.